So when I had my restaurant in Malibu, Monli, before it burned in the fire, we were on 5 acres of property. I had, 3 great beds for growing all my vegetables. I had my own beehive. But what was amazing, we had huge, huge trees of cactus and cactus fruit, the prickly pears. And it's that fruit that I used. I juiced it. I used it on cocktails. I used it. I infused it. I made granitas with it to go on my uni. But what a lot of people don't realize is the actual leaves, or the cactus leaves here, actually have a lot of flavor, and I started infusing them as well. I was in Paris about 8 years ago, and I went to this place, a very famous cocktail bar. I think it's called Candelaria. And they had like in the back is the tequila bar, in the front is this Mexican joint. And I had a cactus taco there. And I love it. And it really stuck with me. And what happens a lot of times when I taste something that's just so different and pure on its own, I often think like, how would I make that into a drink, or what could I do with that and make it into a liquid form? And so obviously here in Southern California, we have lots of prickly pears. We have lots of nopales, which is what this is called in Spanish. And a lot of farms actually started bringing to the farmers market, and I saw the nopales. And you want to get them when they're green and small. So this means it's a new growth. So every spring they'll start to come out, and you'll start to see them, and they're super fresh inside. So if you cut it in half, now these do have the thorns. A lot of times when you buy them, the thorns will be taken off of them. So you have to be careful. You could kind of, take your knife, and if you wanted to do that. To me, it's not a big deal. I'm going to use a towel and I'll cut it. But my point to that is this is what we're going to infuse with. And I'm going to take these little jars. And like I said, I encourage you so many times to, if it's something that you're doing for the first time, or you don't have to do a lot of it, or you just to even know whether you like this flavor profile, just take a small jar. You don't even have to go buy one. These are empty pickle jars that I use. And sometimes I actually use these as infusions to give away as gifts to people. I'll give the whole infusion away because it looks so cool. So we're going to start this off, and we'll do, so we're going to cut these up. And because these are smaller jars, I'll probably cut these nopales in half and then cut them this way. Use a bigger knife here. And same thing, same rule that I always kind of use in infusions. We're going to fill that 3/4 of the way, and then we're going to top it off with alcohol. Finally, we're going to have a wonderful application for these bar spoons that have a fork on the back, and that's how we're going to get the cactus in, right? So we don't have to worry about the thorns. Now listen, what's going to happen is this is going to take on a really interesting flavor profile. It's super green and grassy, and it's got these great herbal notes. But what will also happen is a good amount of like gel will come out of them, just like an okra or an aloe vera plant, where if things sit for a while, that there's like a gel that comes out of it and makes it a little bit on the viscous side. So we're going to fill this up. Let's cut a little bit more here. Again, we're going to fill it 3/4 of the way. And what's great is when you're done with this, this is just a great infusion to make a margarita with. All you need is you just need 2 ounces of the cactus tequila, some 1 ounce of lime, a 3/4 ounce of an agave syrup, and you're done. You've got all this great flavor of it. And let's see, we're going to fill this all the way up. Like I said, we'll go about 3/4 of the way. Love having this fork. It makes it so easy. And that's looking good, okay? And of course, what would be a natural progression of this would be tequila. So we're going to use my favorite tequila. This is the 123 Tequila Reposado. Reposado means resting in Spanish, so it's been aged for a little over 3 months. And I'm going to fill it all the way to the top. And I'm going to let that sit for about 7 to 10 days, okay? Okay, so we have the cactus tequila right now, and now we're going to strain it. And listen, you might think like, okay, what's the big deal? It's easy to strain. I know what I'm doing. That's simple. But I think it's really, really important when it comes to the cactus that you kind of know what you're in for. So we're going to take the 2 jars that we had. Looks like it's pretty tight. And what I'm going to do is strain it into a measuring cup. And this is, you're going to see now that kind of aloe vera kind of gel-like quality. you can see how thick that is, right? It's almost like I added sugar and it's a syrup. So it's very viscous. It's very much like aloe vera, or what happens with okra as well, and we talked about that. But I'm already looking in here and I can see that there's little particles and little needles, because what happens is that liquid is softening the cacti, and then those needles get released into the solution. So we're going to strain the rest of this in there. And then I just have a real simple, 10-ounce bottle here, because we did a simple infusion. And of course, it's always great to have a bottle like this for your first time, because now you have something where, this is, let's see, I think it's just going to make it. Let's see if I have to strain a little bit more. I think there's a little bit left in here. Yeah, there we go. And again, see, I got another thorn in there. And this looks like it's the perfect size. I don't know how I eyed that properly. I'm usually not that great. And now you've got the perfect little bottle. And before I seal it, let me pour a little nip so I can tell you how it came out. So right off the top, you've got the tequila, but you've got this really, really vegetal green. It's that really, it's a deep, deep, deep kind of greenness that you feel from it. And this is great. It's a great, great flavor. It's a great, great smell. It's made the tequila a little bit more dry, but you really taste the cacti in it. And I think what's amazing about this is a perfect thing to make a margarita. And this is what it is. You take something like this, and when I have something new that I've never worked with before, I usually just make it very simple. I'll just put some lime juice or lemon juice and agave syrup in there, and I'll make a margarita with it, or a gimlet, whatever it is, and see what that flavor is like on its own. Do I want to add anything to it? Is it good enough? And when you have a small bottle like this is something you're gonna make. You can make 3 or 4 cocktails for your friends. You can take it to the beach to mix cocktails. So most importantly, try it out, see what you think, have fun with it. And I make a drink that's on this site called the Sage Heaven, which utilizes this cactus tequila. So have fun and enjoy, and cheers. Just a really rich flavor. I love it.